Hello, today I'd like to show you some of my completed diamond art and tell you about some of the things I learned through the experience. My name is Catherine and I'm from the Diamond Painting Princess channel. Today I'll be showing you 3 different diamond paintings which all have something in common, which is Snoopy, because I love Snoopy. But not only were these all enjoyable experiences that produced artwork that I love, they also taught me a lot about diamond painting. And here is the first artwork I'd like to show you today. It's Snoopy and Woodstock playing chess. This is actually the first diamond art canvas that I ever completed. When I first realized that I really liked diamond art, the first thing I did was go online and search for Snoopy canvases because I love Snoopy. I found this one online and it was very cheap, and so I thought, what could possibly go wrong? I've got nothing to lose. Now this is the picture that this artwork is based on, and there are a few features looking back that I probably should have noticed at the time but didn't. Firstly, we've got some bees with 3 wings. We also have Snoopy and Woodstock playing chess, but there are checkers pieces next to the board. But a bigger issue, which I didn't appreciate at the time, was the level of detail in this image and the fact that this is a 25 by 25 centimeter canvas, or 10 by 10 inches, which is really too small to show this detail. So the first thing that I learned about diamond painting from this experience was that for pictures with more detail, you need a large canvas. There are only so many diamonds available on the canvas. The bigger the canvas, the more diamonds you have available to show detail. So features like the chess pieces, which didn't really show up too well on this picture, would have been much better represented on a larger size canvas. But anyway, I still pressed on with this picture once it arrived. Now once I started applying the diamonds to the picture, I noticed some things that appeared strange. Now, anyone who knows Snoopy and Woodstock knows that Snoopy is black and white and Woodstock is yellow and black. But when I started applying diamonds to Woodstock according to the color coding, there were red dots here and there, particularly where the black met the yellow, and I had no idea where that was. And I also noticed a similar feature in other areas, such as the brown plantar boxes, which had red on them, and in some areas of the mat as well. And I had no idea why that was. But with a bit of research, I've now found it out. And it goes back to how a picture is converted into a color-coded diamond art canvas. So basically, you start with your picture, it goes into a computer, it breaks it up into a grid with tiny little squares, each square corresponding to one of the diamonds on the artwork. Now on a picture, there's lots of different colors that all merge together. So within one square, there may be one color or multiple colors, but the computer has to choose one single diamond color for that square. Now, if within that square, there's just white or there's just yellow, that's easy. The computer codes it as a white or a yellow diamond. If it's between, say, a light green and a dark green area, it has to make a choice where it puts it. But again, it's probably not going to make too much of a difference if it makes it light green or dark green. However, if there's an intersection between boundaries of, say, yellow and black within that small box, the computer has a difficult decision to make. Does it make it yellow, or does it make it black, or does it make it something else? Well, some computer rendering programs, particularly basic ones such as was used on this image, put the yellow and the black together and say, well, somewhere in between that is red. And it makes it red, even though clearly there is no red at all on Woodstock. And it also means that on the picture, you'll have a red diamond that just does not look right. Now, there's 2 ways to fix this issue. And this is the second thing I learned from doing this diamond art picture. The first option is to choose pictures that have better rendering techniques, either high-level computer rendering or pictures that are hand-rendered. When someone looks at the picture, they'll see there should be no red and they'll adjust it to be the correct color. However, if like me, you have this canvas which you've already started on and you're not going to give up on it yet, the other option is to manually fix it. So what I had to do was, once I realized the red dots were incorrect, I had to take them off. I used my fingers, but you can also use tweezers, and I replaced them with the colored dot that I thought was correct. So basically I just put black and yellow dots where I thought they should go to make Woodstock look like he does on this photo. And I think after a bit of work and pulling off diamonds, I actually got there, and Woodstock and Snoopy actually look quite good. Now that leads on to the third thing I learned about diamond painting from this experience, and that is that if you're getting it professionally framed like I did, I would not get it done the standard way that a lot of places do it, which is to staple the picture into the frame and then cover it with tape. Now that is common because if you're framing a photo or a painting, you want to keep the moisture out, and that's a really effective way to do that. However, it also means it's near impossible to open it up. Now, with all my fiddling with the colors, and particularly on a canvas like this, which is not the best quality, it meant that some of the diamonds started to become loose and fall off. So what I asked them to do for this frame was to put on tabs instead. So what that means is, if I need to open this, I can just unscrew this screw, open up the tabs, remove the diamond art, replace the missing diamonds from my supply, and then put it back in again with myself. So when I get diamond art professionally framed, I now make sure it's got tabs on it so I can open it up if necessary. I will say that the better quality canvases that I'm using now have not had the issue with the dots falling off, but I feel reassured that if anything does happen, I'm able to access the picture without too many problems. So this is Snoopy and Woodstock playing chess, and after a bit of a journey in producing it, I'm really happy with the final result. Now on to artwork number 2. Now this is the second canvas I'd like to show you today. It's Woodstock giving his best friend Snoopy a flower, and I love these two together, they are so cute. So I put together the design for this picture and I had it printed out, and then I completed the diamond art and I've had it framed. Now what you may notice on this picture is that there are large blocks of color, green and blue. And so the first thing I learned from this artwork is the value of a multi-placer tool. So instead of having to place just one diamond at a time in these big sections of one color, you can apply anywhere from 2 to 10 diamonds at a time, which is clearly very time saving. It's a little bit fiddly at first. However, with a bit of practice, I did catch on and I'm much better than I was previously. The main things to keep a watch on are that in your tray, if you have your diamonds lined up neatly in rows, then it'll be a lot easier to attach them to the multi-placer tool correctly. And then on your canvas, make sure that you're putting them on straight. However, if they don't go on straight, you can just nudge them into the correct alignment. Now, once this picture was finished, I learned a second important lesson about diamond painting. And that is when you are finished applying diamonds, you are not finished at all. There are a couple of important things that you need to look out for to make sure that your picture is as good as possible. The first thing is making sure that all your diamonds are in nice, neat rows. So sometimes they can go a little bit off course and not be completely straight. So it's important at this stage to look for any diamonds that are a little bit skew-iff and push them back into position using your pen or a ruler to make those lines beautifully straight. The second thing to watch out for is diamonds that are not completely adhered to the glue. Now, when you're placing a diamond, of course you want the flat base to be on the glue because that will keep it steady in place over time. However, sometimes when you're applying a diamond, if you apply it too close to the diamond next to it, it can actually be on a bit of an angle. So it's actually sticking to the glue only by its corner, which is enough to keep it in place for now, but over time it is at high risk of falling off. And you definitely want to identify this before you frame the picture. So first of all, I look at the picture and try to see any diamonds that don't look quite right and then push them down. Sometimes they can be very hard to see though, particularly with dark colors. And so I go over the whole picture either by pushing down with my finger and just going along the rows, or using one of these handy little diamond art rollers, where you can just roll along the whole picture to make sure every diamond is flat on the adhesive. If you don't have one of these, feel free just to use a normal rolling pin. Now, another thing to be watching out for is any wax that's come off your diamond art pen and is on the canvas. Again, it can be particularly difficult to notice if it's in an area of, say, pink or red, because it's a similar color to the wax itself. But of course, you want to get that wax off before it's framed, and also watch out for any lint. And a final thing is looking for missing diamonds. Now, often I will say it's finished, and then I'll show my daughter, who I now call the diamond painting princess, and she'll say, no, you've missed a diamond here and here and here. Particularly in dark areas, the symbols can be hard to see and you can miss diamonds. And obviously that's a big problem once it's framed. So have a very close look at the whole picture to make sure there aren't any diamonds missing. Because remember, the canvas behind the diamond is going to be a similar color. So it is possible to miss the diamond. So have a check of the whole canvas once you've completed all the diamonds to make sure that everything is how it should be. And so that's my Snoopy and Woodstock flower picture. And this is the final picture I'd like to show you today, Snoopy and Woodstock on his kennel. This is another picture which I put together and had printed out as diamond art. Now with this picture you may notice there are a lot of different coloured flowers. Now one thing I learned from this diamond art is how handy it is if you've saved your diamonds from previous projects. So when the diamond art arrived with the diamonds that had been colour coded, I didn't love the purple colour that had been included. However, I simply went back to some of my previous diamond art kits, found a purple that I actually preferred and used it instead. There is a purple background, but it's so similar that you can't even notice, and I was able to make the colours exactly as I wanted. Also, the kennel outline coded as a dark grey, whereas I would prefer it to be black. So again, I just went back to my previous project and used the leftover black diamonds from the last Snoopy art picture that I showed you. And so I was able to make the outside of the kennel black like I wanted, rather than dark grey as it was coded. This is art. You can make changes if you want. You do not have to stick to the coding if you want to make an adjustment. You're the artist, make it your own. The final thing I learned after I completed this artwork is that it is possible to frame it yourself. It may not be quite as polished as if you get it professionally framed, but I can assure you it is a lot cheaper. So the technique I used was that I got a frame that was about 5 centimeters top and bottom larger than the picture. I had a white piece of cardboard behind it, and then I got a thick piece of cardboard that I cut to the same size as the canvas, and then I put the canvas face down. I put the cardboard on top of it, and then I got the edges of the diamond art and I taped them all down. So that's how I secured it to keep it nice and flat. And then I simply secured it to the white cardboard at the back and put it into the frame. And so it ended up being about a quarter of the price of getting it professionally framed. So that's something that I learned from this canvas. Hopefully today you've got some tips that you might be able to use in your projects. If you'd like to see some more canvas designs or some more resources from Diamond Painting Princess, please visit us at www.diamondpaintingprincess.com. Thank you for spending this time with me today, and happy diamond painting!